Hey, folks. Oh, you gonna leave? Is that how this is? You're gonna lay in my lap and then leave right when I start? Rude. Um, yeah. So we're going to try and finish the last couple pieces of that GUI we were working on before. And I think I can get away. Let's see. Is that picking up in the headphones? Doesn't look like it. Okay. So basically, I got music playing, but I didn't. I don't want that getting through the microphone. Um, so yeah, what we have so far, as we know, is... Well, let's get in a little bit further, and then we'll know the answer to this. We've got our Moosecat selection, which does trigger properly, and our adventure selection. So what we need to do now is we actually need this to not show initially, and we'll have our adventure selection, which will, clicking that will open up a page that has the cats on the side, and then on the right side will be the edit panel for editing the specific adventure that we're currently working on. And our goal for today, since it's kind of late, got a bit of a headache and stuff, is just sort of to separate these out and see how much we can get we can get done in the next hour, probably. Yeah, not much longer than that, because it's going to be a busy week for me mentally, and I don't want to stay up late more than I have to. So as we just established, this can actually happen at a later time, or at the very least, we don't need to activate that section of the interface. So what we can do is when we look at this, we know that we have the adventurers list, which is on the left here, and we know that we also have it referenced here. So what we can do is try that. So we're gonna disable it. I gotta let it recompile real quick. And once we disable it, so it initialized. If we turn on that list, we can see all of them, but it doesn't show it all the time. And that's the ideal for us. So now we have our adventure page done. We have our adventure selection page done. So the next thing is when we click these adventures, we need that to pass a piece of data through to the selection GUI. And these things will get split out later. Once we finish the flow of this and we go to make the actual assets, we'll... Oh, man, when cats get off you, it's just never graceful. So... Oh, yeah, and my chair won't move. Okay. When we go to do the actual assets for this, then we can split out things and make it cleaner. I think the UI work in general is going to be a bit messier because it does rely a bit on knowing what the end GUI result is going to look like. With that in mind, we have this section here, which is when the adventure is selected. And what we would probably want to do is have... So we have the adventure selection GUI. We actually probably want to have a class which is the adventure editor GUI. So let's do that real quick. That, I think, will put us in a happier place. And we just need to, once this compiles, we're going to move this up with its companion. They may not stay on the same game object in the long run, but we can finish them together. And because they'll be communicating through events, we don't need to worry about, or we shouldn't need to worry about when we go to separate them, because they'll just work. Similarly, these objects that we're currently populating, those will likely become prefabs, and they would be just populated on the object, sort of like what we're doing right now with the actual adventures themselves. So, yeah. Actually, these wouldn't even need to be prefabs now that I think about it. The adventurers already are. Yes. Cool. Okay. So we go in and we look at the adventure editor GUI. We're going to reload that. Well, what do we know about the adventure editor GUI is that it needs to know what the current adventure is. And we can get that just with the adventure data. We're not going to do anything super streamlined in that regard. We could just grab the direct reference that we have with those selection scripts, which I actually, again, need to go back and clean up. I just forgot that that was what I'd actually planned to do on the next stream, but we'll do that some other time. That's sort of a freebie, as they say. So we have the adventure data. That will get us the current adventure. And then we will have a canvas for the current adventure. So we might as well make that real quick. These are all just sort of sandwiched. They start off with an image, so let's actually do that. UI image. Oh, you're off in the corner, huh? Very peculiar. Why for art thou so small? What if I... Oh, interesting. Oh, very interesting. Oh, it's because the canvas is off. Not interesting at all. My brain's just not all here. Okay. So we can just grab this transform information. We'll paste it here. Paste his values. Where am I blind here? Paste position. Paste scale. And then we'll switch it to the actual correct thing. (1920 by 1080) is bigger than we want it to be. And it is currently behind, I believe. Is that what's going on? Whoops. No, so let's Control Z a few times. Because when you goof up bad on UI, it's usually easier to just kind of, you know, move things around and fix it that way. Yeah, look at that. That was basically painless. All right, so now we have the interface background. We'll give it a nice color. Sort of a, I don't know, pastel green. Sure. And so this is our adventure editor. And this is our adventure list, to be perfectly honest. So we got adventurers list, adventure list. Again, we'll probably change them later. Adventure editor, and the editor is going to, you know, now that I think about it, this thing could actually be split out into these three classes. Interesting. But we're not going to do that for now. So what is the editor going to contain? I'm glad you asked, because frankly, I didn't know for a moment there. Let's create a image. This is strictly so the reason I create images instead of empty is so that when you're lining up your field to work on the UI, you have a nice visual to know what your dimensions are. Because you could just make it an empty transform. Like, you could have this image gone, and sure, you see those lines, but what happens when you click off the lines? You don't see it anymore. So I like to be able to visualize it. Maybe that's just me. I'm sort of a visual guy. If you don't find any value in that, then don't do it. But I like doing it. All right, so we're going to bring that down. And stretch that up a little bit there. $125. Yeah. I like round numbers. Again, you might not. That's fine. I will not judge. Okay, I'll have to accept the 1.5. Because I don't care, like, oh, actually, do I? Huh? We could maybe do this. Oh, yep. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right. So this is going to be our adventurer slots. These are the slots that when you click on adventurers, it'll populate these squares. And I think we can do we can do a horizontal layout group, and that'll probably be fine there. So yeah, we're going to do a horizontal layout group. We won't necessarily want to do that when we go to do the final design, but it makes it easier as we're adding and removing elements to have them resize, you know. So we got our adventurer slot. Let's imagine there's 4 for this adventure. That number is going to change depending... That number is going to change depending on the number of adventurers that exist in that adventure that you have selected. And so we'll either decide on deleting them or pooling them. Probably will delete them, though, because that's such a trivial thing to reconstruct. Switch over to Under the Covers, Volume 3. It's pretty good. Really catchy. Right. Something I wanted to do. Hold on. I was going to change what this was looking for. Yeah, you see? Got that little bit of the ninjars. All right. So, transform, reset transform. So if we shrink this down, you'll at least know what I'm listening to. And you might say, what do I care? And to that I would say, ooh, touche. Bit of a deep stab there, but touche. Cool. It's a really good album, though. I highly recommend it if you've got the YouTubes, which you probably do because you're watching this. So, you know, we solved that mystery. Unfortunately, I didn't solve the fact that the arm I put my microphone on, and I know it's a crime to touch your microphone while you're talking into it, but the arm that I have my microphone attached to is actually not built for this weight. You would think that a blue microphone would be pretty heavy and that anything else would be kind of lighter than it, but apparently the Shure SM7B, I think it is, heavier. Yeah, who knew? Doesn't even feel heavier in my hand, but when I attach it to this blue arm, it sags. Very frustrating. But we'll see about fixing that over time here. Anyways, we have our slots. We do need to go in and change their color because that just ain't going to do. Sure. Gray seems good. Our group, we want the alignment to be middle center. Awesome. It probably actually wants to be middle left. And then we would pad it. But you know what? We're going to do middle center because I realize later as we add more adventures, it'll probably need to be a grid layout group, blah, blah, blah. Not going to worry about it for now. Doesn't matter. What does matter is making this into a prefab. And we're going to do that. Editing. And then this is selecting. And this is also editing. Huh? It's all coming together. So we'll delete these 3. We'll keep the ones in here just for the visual appeal. So we have our slots. We need the name of the adventure somewhere. So we're gonna do Text Mesh Pro as we so often do. Recognize that I still haven't put in my font. Well, I say my font, but I didn't make it. It's just the one I like to use. Come on, chair. You can do this, buddy. All right. Yeah, I'll move this desk over a little bit later. This would be probably in the top middle if I had to use my magic lamp to know roughly where it's going to be. -30 is fine. Width of 200. Whoa, that is not nearly as far as I thought it was. Width of 400. Height of 50. and we're going to center it in both senses of the word. That way, if the names are kind of big or whatever, they'll all be nice and, well, centered. I know, mind-blowing, right? What other data is included with an adventure? We currently have the progress, which we wouldn't see on this screen, I don't think, because I don't think you're going to be editing them in the middle of them going. Or maybe you wouldn't necessarily edit them, but you might... we can always attach that at a later point anyways, once we know what the UI is going to look like. The count is handled down here, and that would be part of the here. So the duration is what we should include. Title, and then, because again, you'll see the duration when you're selecting it, but you also want to see it while you're editing, so you know how much time you're about to sacrifice to the time gods. Again, just we'll just duplicate the title, and we'll put this where? That's a great question. Doesn't really matter, so we're just going to move it a little bit further down. Duration. Whoa, that's not how you spell that. Whoops. We'll do this so we know when it's been edited or not. There we go. So now we need to go into the script, as one so often does when they're trying to edit things. And we've got a few things to grab here. First, we have the... we didn't put a... We'll probably eventually need more than just the image, but for now we're just going to do image. Using system.collection. Oh, it's already up there. Private list of image, which means that we need Unity engine.editor. Unity editor. Hold on, I'll remember this. UI. I don't know why I was thinking editor. Because it's late. I'm tired. Makes sense. So we got our adventure slots. For now, they're just going to be images because we're trying our best to not write code beyond the bare minimum for solving the problems. And then as we go back and polish, that's when we can start to add more granular feature suites. Yes. So right now, all we're going to do is change the color of these when it loads up so that we know whether or not it worked. And then otherwise, we won't. Yeah. One thing we'll have to remember is that when we leave, if we were to quote-unquote cancel out of the adventure and come back, this sort of data is not saved yet. The way it's going to be saved is eventually the image that would be here would actually be an image of the adventure, that particular Moosecat. And so then in that way, it will check which adventure it is and what Moosecats are on it, which means that we actually need the Moosecat data, because this is how we cross-reference the Moosecats against the adventure data, and that's how we know which Moosecats to list out here. Because the cats themselves can handle, the data for the cats, can handle their status, and their status is things like if they're on an adventure, what adventure they're on, experience level, all that other stuff, you know? So we don't need to also have that data elsewhere. We can just do cross-referencing and a bit of logic and understand that information. Yeah. So we've got our slots, and we're going to do a public void init. And as we discussed before, this is all shared content that will eventually get consolidated once I go and polish off these pieces, so that future UI work that's being done will just have these functions that you would naturally run and expect. Show, hide, initialization, you know, that sort of stuff. As for data, that would be something that would depend on the actual UI itself. So when it's initialized, it would be checking the, oh, right, we need the transform for slot container. Adventurer slot container. So we need that rect transform. Did not need to make that like that. But that's fine. I don't know why. Sometimes I still put like equals null and stuff like that. It's, I think, because of JavaScript. It hurt me, and this is for just for debugging on some of these. But yeah, I did the did some JavaScript stuff in the last few years, and whew, the pain. Technically, it's TypeScript, but I've also done JavaScript. They're the same language. One's easier to read than the other. TypeScript's the easier one to read, for what it's worth. Almost unequivocally. I don't often frame my opinions as fact, but in this case, I've been hurt enough to double down on that one. Full of muscles. Okay, so now we've assigned the transform. We can set back in our adventurer selection section. Wow, that rhymed. Nice. We can go into adventurer data, and we're gonna find adventure where adventure equals Adventure Gui Adventure Gui adventure. Wait, did I not put it in there? Well, let's go check, team. I did, but I made it private. So private set get public, please. Okay. There we go. And then this is... so we actually just need to do... We'll do it like this. Find the datum in the adventure datum, or adventure data, that equals the one that's in and you're right, this is actually quite long, so we're gonna shrink her down again. So we're gonna find the adventure that matches the one on the GUI, and then if it does not equal null, or we can just say if it exists. I kind of want to put a debug in here, but yeah, we'll just do a debug, and then we can do the remainder code after the fact. Adventure datum is null. Because that would be a pretty big issue. Log error, please. But if it's not null, then adventure data dot set selected. Okay, so what we're doing here is when you click that adventure, it checks the adventure data for the adventure that matches the one that you selected. If it finds it, it will then set it as the current selected adventure. Easy peasy. I'm actually really interested, once I get this all done, to find those areas where, like, you set it here, you back out and go to a different page to do some, like, shenanigans to, like, dupe things and stuff like that. I actually think that'll be a lot of fun, because if you go back to older games on NES, or, well, even newer than that, like, Mario 64, if you ever watch videos of people doing, like, the A-Press challenge and stuff, you find that because there's these shared data pointers, you can like convert Goombas into stars or like affect other things in that regard. Like you can clone things and push things and bounce off clones. And I don't know, I just think it's all fun. I mean, I'll still try to fix a lot of it, but if there's any really clever ones that end up being found, I may leave them because it's just kind of a charming quality of stuff. We'll see. Obviously, I like my work to work and look nice and play nice, so who knows, maybe that'll overcome my desire to have those fun little quirks in it. Anywho, so this will set the adventure. And then obviously right now, it needs to have, because we've got this kind of consolidated right now, target, adventure, no, I guess we could do an event. Might as well try and do this even partially mature-like. Oh, do I not already have an adventure selected? On adventure ready to complete. Yeah, we don't actually have a natural one. Okay. And then down here, once the adventure selection is selected, and again, we don't have to pass data here. That's the beauty. Because we're setting it in this shared data structure, we can just tell things that it's ready for them. They don't have to worry about race conditions or anything like that because by definition, this logic is ready for them when they're told to look at it. And that's why I like this system. It's very easy to wrap your head around. And if you have race conditions, you realize you've organized something wrong and you can go back and fix it, you know? Like how I didn't serialize this. Oh no, I did. I just didn't hit save. All right, so we will make our adventure thing. On button. Ah, right, that's over here. So we got, oh, I don't want that. Adventure book on adventure selected. And we can come down here, give it the old clicky clack. Goodness gracious, why do they do that? There we go. I just don't, you can't see it right now, but there's this selection window that it puts them all as icons. And when you're dealing with text objects, you don't care. Like, if it's all text, the image looks the same. There's no preview there. Just make it a list. I wish it was smarter about that, where it would just make lists for things that don't have previews. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. We can probably move this class already because this is going to listen for a game event listener, which is on adventure selected, and that's going to tell it init blah blah blah. Ah, yeah, okay. It's a little bit tacky, but it's fine. Oh yeah, we need game data. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit down and consolidate these. It's just I keep doing editing it late at night. I'm like, I don't really wanna right now. Yeah, my promise to myself will be, once I get these 3 UI windows done, we'll go back and consolidate them into one. Well, not even consolidate. It's not that we're consolidating them into one. We're consolidating their shared code into a base abstract or something along those lines. Yes. Words. All right, so it's got a toggle. Let's So when you select, that'll turn off the other one. Toggle canvas. And we should probably switch this from a literal toggle to one that you pass true or false through. But for now, could not be bothered to care, because we're going to go through and rework it anyways. So what I was thinking is, you select the thing. That probably should just call a knit. And otherwise, do that. And the init would be adventure data dot selected datum dot value party count. We got there. And what we will do with this is, oh, I guess our, oh wait, no, that's a, we don't have the prefab yet. There we go. And then we need to serialize this. Attach game data. Right. Attach that. And then we will, is it transform? Yeah, transform. Or actually, we'll just save ourselves some trouble. Prefab equals instantiate adventure prefab. Right. I'm zigging when I should have zagged, just because. And we don't need that anymore because it's been simplified. I keep forgetting. Prefab dot transform dot set parent adventure slots. And then world position stays, we'll say that's false. And this is not where I need this, actually. We need the container. What we're doing here is where we add it. Okay. So if it's 4, it should generate 4 squares and attach them properly. We're already recognizing that this would not be a good plan, because each time you open up the window, you would want them to populate. And right now they would only do it once because it's a one-way gate. So we need to make a function for that. And in fact, this is currently, I suspect there'll be multiple how do I word it? I suspect there'll be multiple generation steps, because obviously you need to do the name and stuff too. Yeah. And so we're missing a few text fields. Okay, using TM Pro. Title mesh and duration mesh. And so then title mesh dot text equals adventure data dot selected value dot title, I think it was, or yeah, that's a lot of dots, but sometimes it happens. Duration mesh.text equals, same deal. .toString, right. And so then what we would do is first slots for each do that. Oh my goodness. All right, so this is just sort of a temporary thing. It'll destroy all the previous ones, and then it'll clear the thing, and then it'll repopulate it. Now, obviously, I suppose we can not do this. And then this would actually solve our problem. Because in this case, we do want it to init each time. Because each time it initializes, it'll set all the data. Something like that. We'll probably change the functions here. But that's fine for now. And so when the adventure is selected, we do a couple things here. We toggle the canvas. And we init. Please? Yes. Okay. So we will turn on the canvas, and we will oh, right. Yeah, so this is technically not really a canvas at the moment. But you get the same effect. Huh. Well, that's not the end of the world, because we can just add a container. So this actually wouldn't work right now. So we'll comment that all out. And then for toggling the canvas, we would need an empty container that is the full size of this. I know, Artemis. Almost caught ourselves there. And then we can toggle this, the container. I hate acronyms sometimes. We're going to move this to the top, just so we don't forget that we want to get rid of it later. And then title goes here, duration goes here, container goes here. Disable the container. GameObject.setActive and GUI container.gameObject.active self. And the inverse of that. Okay. So when it toggles, it'll turn it on and initialize the data. And then we would probably want a cancel button of some kind. And the other thing that would happen when an adventure is selected is the adventurers list would update. So that would be a different script, which we would call the adventurer selection GUI. And again, not super hot on these names just because they're one letter different, but English is dumb like that sometimes. So we're going to go back over to our adventure selection GUI. We're going to snap out some of this. All of that. Oh, whoops. Let's do it this way. Then we'll come back, get rid of all this. And then we've got a few things that we can grab from up here. Okay, save that. Whole lot of red underlines. It's like high school all over again for me. But that's fine. Made it through that, I'll make it through this. Don't need any of that. And then this is going to be looking for that now. That's all good. Getting there. And there we go. Okay. And then down here, so we need to grab that from this. Snap that off. Not something I ever wanted to say, but here we are. And then right. And then we can go back over. We'll bring this up here. Snap this as well. And we don't need these breakpoints anymore. We're going to grab this again, because I figure if I do this enough, it's going to hurt so much that I'm just going to have to fix it immediately next time we stream. Grab this thing. Oh, I copied that to the wrong thing. That's fine. We'll fix it in a moment. Kachuki. Right here. And then we just need to do the same thing here, where we create empty, make it the exact same. Oh, need to move this in here. And then, like I said, make it 0, 0, 0. And then we look at this class, which will soon, or this object, which will soon have a class on it. And we go, blorp, bleep, bloop, and there's well. I think that's all of them. And we disable that. This is going to need one as well. Again, move this down. Have this encompass the entire area. And so right now, they're all on one canvas, which means we need to go into this, comment this all out, do the container deal again. Good news is they're all getting more and more similar with every passing moment, so. Don't think anything else changes in that regard. Okay. Okay, so far so good. Oh, I guess that's true. Technically the container is the same thing. Okay, maybe I'll fix that tomorrow. We would want to move the images one layer down. Yeah. Okay. And this one is actually not yet moved down. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Okay. This one is not yet listening for its event. We're actually going to move it up as well. Okay. Toggle canvas. We're going to check real quick and see if this still works. It does. How about that, huh? Technically, this is a no-no, but... Cool. All right. So the next thing would be selecting one. Yeah, okay. And then we can go down to this one. Game event listener. Listening for that same thing. And we're just going to do this in all of them. Is it you? Yeah. So we got adventurer, adventurer, and yeah. So what we should see here, which will be good because, you know, it's late. We should be able to click this button, see our initial adventures. This is the Great Woods, I believe, and then this is the debug adventure. Obviously, I should put the name in there somewhere. Again, we see Into the Great Woods. We would want to add a button somewhere here for going backwards. Yes. which we could probably do real quick. Casual observation. This one did not go off. Did I not save? It's got the right container. It's got the right event, I believe. Okay, so that's how I was doing in that one. Toggle canvas and init. That's better. So let's actually go back. If they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. All right, let's try this again. Visible, debug adventure. So this one worked. This one did not. So we're gonna, but it did populate all the cats, which tells me that I disabled perhaps the wrong thing. Toggle canvas init. Toggle Moosecat group. GUI container. Toggle. Oh, and this, by the way, is why you want to have everything using the actual same code. That way, if it works for one, it works for all of them. But, you know, I am nothing if not happy to be an accidental educator. Okay, so it is... So that function does work, the toggle canvas function. Let's just make sure we're actually pointing to the right. Because it's entirely possible that's what's going on here, is I was pointing to the wrong class. Or, yeah, wrong class, fine. No, so we're not pointing to the wrong class. Toggle and init is the same as here. It's the same. Oh, interesting. Well, I know this is happening because it's a toggle, but why did it not work in the first place? Okay, I'm just trying to make them look the same. Well, let's see. So we got... The init here doesn't have a Boolean for flipping out of it, which tells me that that may be the problem. Because this all happened... Oh! Remember earlier when I said that this and this were the same thing? Ugh. How could I have known? Right, we can't actually delete that. Nothing like foreshadowing your own doom. Awesome. Now, casual observation. We got a bunch of these things in here when we don't need them. Because we want to make sure it works, right? So it's just one big one. Or no. No, it's not. It's none. So. Is the list at least one? No. Let's find out. I was going to say, please let me actually exit and restart Unity. Okay. Clicky clack. Oh. Okay. There we go. Now it's going to work. There we are. And then if we try again, because obviously we need to go through and do the logic for flipping back and forth and stuff. Ah, there we go. And then the next thing we would need to do is when you select these, the color of them would change the colors here. So we'll do that next time. I'm going to save that because, you know, I think hour is a nice solid amount of time. We got a good amount of progress. We got the 3 split out. The canvas is no longer a logical unit. We can go through and start cleaning these up so that any shared functionality between them is just that, actually shared functionality. And yeah, I think that'll be a good next stage. So if you watched here, in fact, let me click this. Well, I guess I could just go back through the video to find a thumbnail, you know. But yeah, if you watched here, thanks for watching here. If you watched on YouTube, thanks for watching there. And as always, you know, I hope you have a nice day. Or else.